Kristen is in Charleston, South Carolina. Hi, Kristen. What's up?
Hey, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. How can we help?
Hey, so I just sold my house today. I made $21,000 profit from it, and this is the most money I've ever had in my whole life, and I want to put it directly into my savings account. But I just wanted advice on how I can continue to be in a good financial position and not be tempted to spend any of it.
Congratulations. How old are you?
Thank you. I'm 25.
How long have you owned this house?
Since 2017.
All right. You did good.
I can hear her joy through the phone.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
It's fun.
Good for you.
It's a nice $21,000 check.
You.
Send me $21,000. I'll get joyful, I can tell you.
All day long, yeah.
That's good. So where are you going to live?
Well, right now I'm renting an apartment with a roommate, but I plan once the lease is done to buy my own house again.
Once the what is done?
Once the lease is over with the apartment, starting next year, I plan on buying my own house again.
Okay, so you weren't living in this house.
Oh, yes, I was living in the house.
How come you sold it?
I unfortunately I separated from my fiance, so the money was split in half, and now I'm staying with a roommate. And until this lease is done, I would like to buy my own house.
That's perfect.
Next year.
Love it.
Okay. And so, well, here's what you do. You can just keep it in a bank account. That's all you need to do. Nothing fancy. Ask your local banker or your credit union to open you a money market account. Do not connect it to overdraft protection on your checking account. Do not connect it to your ATM card. Do not have access to it unless you go to the branch and pull money out. That will keep you from accidentally impulsing when you see a couch on sale on the weekend.
Right.
And so you build some protections and make it a little bit hard to get to it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Do you understand? If it's connected to your checking account, you're going to have a tendency to, well, I want to buy something, and I'll just keep writing checks, right?
Right.
And if your ATM the same way. So just protect you from you, which is what you're concerned about. But the good news is you're already aware of that, so you're very unlikely to make this mistake.
How long have you been separated?
About 2 months.
Okay. So I would set up with your roommate. Is this a friend of yours?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Come up with some number, because this grief is going to wave over you like being out at the beach, okay? And it will wave over in different seasons and at weird moments. You're going to be walking in from somewhere after having a great time, and it's just, you're going to feel like someone just dropped one of those heavy blankets over you, okay? I want you to have some sort of agreement with your roommate that you will check in before you make a purchase over X dollars. Is that cool? And that will be your accountability partner through this grieving process, because I don't want you to use, you're going to have $21,000 sitting in the account. And like Dave said, it's going to be so tempting just to go get that dopamine hit and feel better. Go to the bank, and you're just going to have to get a new car or have to get a new designer oodle dog or some kind of something. Go on some vacation, whatever it is. Have an accountability partner that you got to check in with.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'll give you the number. Anything over $300, you have to check in. How's your relationship with your mom and dad?
Oh, that's pretty decent.
Okay, you might also have that agreement with them then.
Okay.
And that's not you not being an adult. That's just somebody that loves you, that's kin to you,
right,
that you can check in with. That's not that you have to ask your mommy. That's not my point. But my point is, same thing John's doing is giving you accountability. And so one last thing. I don't get to do this very often. Would you mind helping me with something?
Yeah, sure.
Would you talk to the audience out there? Because I catch a lot of grief when I tell people not to buy a house with people they're not married to because crap like happened to you happens. Would you talk to people out there that are thinking about making the same mistake you did when you bought this house with this goob?
Well, my advice would just be make sure this is the person, you want to spend the rest of your life with, and my advice is to get married. That would be my advice.
Yeah. Because you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life.
Right. I was 21 when I built this house, and I wish I would have, I think it would have been a lot easier if I was married, and that would be my advice.
Yeah. Don't buy a house with people you're not married to. That's what I tell people all the time, and people sometimes that are your age make fun of me because I'm an old grandpa. But it's also, I have met with, over the 30 years of doing coaching, I've met with thousands of people in your situation, and the good news is the house sold, and you're able to split.
You made money.
You made money, and you're able to split the money, and you're able to get away from this problem and get out of what a lawyer would call a partnership.
Yeah.
A general partnership with no partnership documentation. And so it turned out okay in the end. You made it out with your skin intact and made a little money. But to go with the heartbreak, you have to go with this disposition of assets as if there's a divorce, and yet there is no legal track to run the thing on.
The last thing you want to do when you're grieving is math, right?
Yep.
That's the last thing you want to do, man.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Whether you don't have life insurance, you don't have any number of things, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Kirsten. Kirsten, I'm sorry for sharing that. But this is the reason. It doesn't always turn out like you think it's going to. So get things in the right order. Don't buy a house until you're married with someone you are not married to. And so, again, she got blessed and got out of it without a problem, and I'm happy she did. I didn't want her to be punished or something like that. But I am. She said, 21 years old.
Yeah.
And
like we talked about earlier in a previous segment, you got it all figured out when you're 21, right?
And you're 41, and when you're 51, and when you're 61.
I have, and if I have on a much smaller scale, I know you have. Man, talking to folks in that same situation who are trying to split debt.
Oh, it's harsh.
It's mayhem.
Yeah.
You couldn't have that conversation beforehand, which led to this, breakup. Trying to figure out who's going to take what debt and how you're going to split it. Well, you bought this on that credit card, and you bought that, and the house, we have to write a check for it.
Remember that time you used the mustard?
Yeah. Dude, it gets contentious and messy.
Yeah, it's like breaking up with your roommate. Oh, because you are.
Yeah.
It's just it's a real problem, and we're seeing it at a pandemic level. But yeah.
Too soon, man.
It's an epidemic anyway. Yeah. It may not be a pandemic, but it's definitely an epidemic. So, well, Kirsten, I'm glad you got out and you got some money. I appreciate the smile on your face for the $21,000. That's awesome.
What a win, and you needed a win. I can hear it.
I'm glad you got the win, and we want you to have a wonderful purchase of a home when that money's all still sitting there, and you've added some to it.
Still in the account.
And it's still in the account. You've added some to it, and your lease runs out, and you're able to do that. So most excellent. Very cool. Thank you for joining us, kiddo.